Happy New Year, my friends. Coming up on today's episode, we are welcoming in 2021 and we are discussing polycystic ovary syndrome, part 2. You don't want to miss it. Hello, darlings, and Happy New Year. Listen, we made it out of 2020 and we have made it into 2021, and I'm super duper excited about it. So I just want to thank you guys for joining Wake Up Well. I am your host, Portia Scott. And of course, I am never alone because I am joined with this incredible community, as well as our resident mental health hygienist. Everybody knows him, Marty Sellers. And as usual, we have some incredible guests as well. So Marty, Happy New Year to you, brother.
Happy New Year, Portia. How are you? Looking absolutely amazing, and you got this amazing glow. How was your New Year?
Oh, thank you, Paula. Paula says happy 15th anniversary. So
yes.
If you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you've probably seen my stories being posted talking about my 15th year anniversary.
Yes.
So my incredible husband surprised me with the vow renewal. What I thought was a wedding shoot actually ended up being a total vow renewal. So yes, Marty, I am still glowing.
Congratulations to you and Pastor John Henry.
My mental health. Listen, Marty,
yes.
My mental health is so good right now.
I love it. But that's so important. You started off, you ended the year and came into the year on a high. And to be able to do that, that's going to just catapult you into your greatness this year. So I'm so excited for the both of you. Yes.
I receive it. You know what, Marty? I am pulling up this because I want to say this live while people are on. Because I don't think people understand, like doing shows and doing these shows, love them so much. Love you and want to thank you. So listen to this. This is our 22nd show. Our 22nd show.
What?
Yes. So we've done 22 shows. We've done 22 shows. And I am so grateful. I was like, I want to look at this as we were welcoming 2021. We did 22 shows. We're going to do way more than that this year.
Yes.
But that is incredible. That's an incredible feat, Marty. It was. It was incredible. And listen to this. Our first video received 96 views.
Okay.
And that's amazing.
That
96
is.
views.
Yes.
So our last show, we had over 1,000 views. Yes, over 1,000 views. So, you know, I'm just like, I'm grateful for this community because they continue to show up. Even when we took like a 2-month break because of mental health with the kids going back to school. Listen, I practice what I preach, Marty. If I got to take a break. And they still continue to show up. But isn't that amazing? 22 shows.
That is absolutely amazing.
We start off with 96 views. We end up, you know, the last show of 2020, 1,000 views.
Wow.
So I think I'm just so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful to be able to make an impact in this way. And so, that's just, I was looking at that and I was just like, wow, man, that's incredible.
That's incredible. And I thank you for the opportunity to join you in your platform. You know, it's been a great collaboration and for exposing your audience to me and they have come over just in true fashion and followed me and my audience is following you.
Absolutely.
And this beautiful, that's what it's all about in 2021, Portia, I believe. If we're going to, my word that I've been saying and is acceleration.
I love
and if
that.
we're going to excel in 2021, it is about networking with the right people. Because even though it's a cliche, your network determines your net worth. Yes.
I mean, but data has showed it. Honestly, data has shown that you are within kind of like the same socioeconomic status as the 5 closest people to you, right? That's data that has been able to show that and prove it. And it is, right? Because let's just go. Iron sharpeneth iron.
Come on,
And
come
so
on.
when I'm around you, when there's this
Right.
energy, right? This synergy that we have to think different, to act different,
Yes.
to do different, to want different, then, so yeah, you're
And I love
absolutely
that
right.
in this whole wellness that you're doing, you challenge my mental health, because even as a mental health professional, I need people to challenge me too, because we can get burned out. And 2020 was a very difficult year for all of us. But I say that because we came out on this side of 2020 and going into
Right.
2021, we're alive. Listen, we're in our right mind, even though at days
Right.
we felt like we weren't. We can lift our hands, we can walk and get around. We may
Yeah.
have lost some loved ones, but you know what? We're still here, and we're still
Yes.
here to fight and press forward. So I'm grateful
Absolutely.
to you for all of that, and how you and your family have become not just friends, but you all
A
have become
family.
family to me. Yes. So thank
Yes.
you.
Oh, thank you, Marty. It's so funny. My three words for the year are
Uh-huh.
inspire, impact, and imagine. And I'm just going to do all that I can to inspire
Yes.
the world. I'm going to do all
Yes.
I can to impact myself and the community around me. And I'm going to imagine and reimagine and imagine some more. So
Yes.
those are kind of like my three words for the
Love
year.
it.
And that's what I do every year. I do make my goals, but the last couple years, it's been either like a statement or a couple of words that kind of lead me as my philosophy for the year, so that I can
Yes.
balance everything off of that.
I
Is
love
this
that you say a
inspiring?
statement. Yes, it is,
Yeah.
because we need to have, just like Nike has Just Do It, we need to have a personal slogan, a personal
Yes.
mission statement, a value statement that charges us. And each year we're sharpening that statement to make the vision of it even
Yes.
more clear
I
in our
love it.
lives, so that that drives us, not everything else and everyone else, but what we truly believe and know in our heart to do.
Yes, absolutely, Marty. I'm super excited. So it's so funny. I mean, people are just coming in. Hello, darling. Hey, guys.
Hello.
My mom says, that's amazing. Proud of you. Val, as usual. Hello, darling. My sister's like, what did I miss? You didn't miss anything, girl. You came in right on time.
Come on.
Inspire, impact, imagine. Love that. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, that's so good. Every moment needs a mantra.
That's right. That's right.
That's
That's
so
that's
good.
that's Pastor John. Come on through.
Come on, Pastor.
Yeah, he thinks like a pastor, but we do need mantras. We do need those things that's going to
Yeah.
motivate us, because too often, listen, if we don't have a point of reference to what we do everything for, you'll be blowing in the wind all the time. And I think that's what
Come on.
we saw happen in 2020, because a lot of us weren't grounded foundationally within ourselves. When 2020 hit, we didn't know what to do. And we became lost.
That's
We're
right.
not even out the neck of the woods of this. We still got a good
Right.
6 months of this more left to go, even with vaccinations.
That's
But
so
what
true.
are you? How are you vaccinating yourself? Ooh, come on.
That's a word. That's a word,
Yes.
Marty. That's
Yes.
a word.
How are you vaccinating yourself? I understand the Moderna and all of those other ones, but what are you doing to vaccinate yourself so that you are mentally, physically, and spiritually more healthy?
Yes. Oh, Paula said, Martinez Sellers, after watching you night after night leading up to Christmas, I missed you so much. Oh, your
Oh,
12 days of
Paula,
Christmas. Oh, my
yes.
goodness.
And Paula and so many of your viewers were so faithful in coming over. We had a good time with it. Just to encourage people, yes, this is a different
I
year,
love it.
but it can be the best year of your life. And I had what I like to believe the best Christmas and best New Year's ever, because it was intimate. I got to pour into my family. They got to
Yeah.
pour into us, Portia. We sat around and played old school games and had a ball. Cooked so many cookies and cakes
Ooh.
and all that. I'm throwing all that out. Now I got to go on a serious
Right,
fast and diet
we
tomorrow.
about to talk about getting our health right.
Right,
So
right.
so everything's out the door. Well, actually,
It
I had a
is.
friend. I had a friend that brought me this red velvet cake over. I'm not even going to talk about it. We are going to bring on our special guest for today.
Yes.
I'm super duper excited. You guys met Dijha last 2 weeks ago when we
Yes.
were on talking about PCOS. Today, we're going to talk about PCOS, but we're really going to talk about these lifestyle changes that we can make. And the reason why she made those lifestyle changes for herself, and kind of walk us through what that looks like. We're going into the new year. We all have personal goals. Fitness, health is always one of them because this is the only body that we have. And so we should treat it really, really well, even when it's
Yes.
hard to do. And sometimes we need help. And that's what she does. So she's a health coach. So I would love to welcome Dijha Allen to the show.
Hey,
Hey, Dijha,
Dijha,
welcome back.
hello,
how are
darling.
you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm happy to be
I
here with
love
you guys once again.
Yes. So I am super excited about our next guest as well. She was actually on the show when we really talked about mental health. We
Yes.
talked about trauma. We really dug deep into it. And I hope she'll come on too, just to do another one of those sessions. Because it was
Yes.
really, really good when we talked
Right.
about the difference between mental illness and mental health. And
Yes.
trying to figure out, because sometimes we think it's the same thing. And so
Right.
that's another stigma to get over. But she is an amazing, she's a wealth of knowledge. She has joined us tonight, Dr. Lisa.
Hey. Doc.
Thank you for having me back.
Oh, Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for joining. Oh, Marquita, thank you so much for joining, Dolly.
Yes.
So you guys know me and Marty just took up a whole 10 minutes talking about how grateful we were. So I'm going to ask you all, Dijha, I'll start with you to let us know what you're grateful for. And while Dijha and Dr. Lisa are giving us why they are grateful, I want the community to tell us why you're grateful.
Yes.
Whether it is because we crossed over in 2020. Listen, I was not closing my eyes till 12 o'clock came because the way 2020 was going,
Come
I would
on.
not be surprised if we was back in 2020 again. I stayed up to make sure that we went into 2021. So you guys
Yes.
let us know why you are grateful. Dijha, we'll start with you. Tell us what you're grateful for.
Well, of course, like you already said, just being alive in 2021 is a blessing that I don't take for granted. The other thing I thought about was being grateful for PCOS and where it's brought me, because that's the reason why I'm here today. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I spent so many years like hating that diagnosis and trying to act like it didn't exist and ignoring it. But once I kind of decided, you know what, this is what it is. I'm going to face it. I'm going to fix it. It's brought so much transformation in my life. It's caused me to prioritize my health and my self-care. And so I'm actually grateful for that diagnosis and all that it's taught me and all that it's teaching me.
I love that. I mean, I love that. To say I'm grateful for that. That's powerful. That's powerful. It's so
Yes.
much in your story. Dr. Lisa, what are you grateful for?
Yeah, so I think I'm grateful for 2021. Although I know we still have some things we have to get through in 2021. It just kind of feels like a fresh start, you know? But and I'm grateful to be able to be in mental health. I've been in healthcare for 27 years, and I was in OB at Ohio State for 6 years, and now I've kind of transitioned my career and practice into mental health and being able to reinvent myself. So I'm grateful for that.
I love it. I love that. So I know some people were here last time, some people were not. So I want, Dr. Lisa, I'll let you and Dijha kind of talk through this, but kind of give us an overview and understanding of what PCOS is for people who are just like tuning in because they're tuning in, but really to understand what is it?
Doctor, would you like to go first?
I'll let you. My dog is barking.
Okay. Sure, not a problem.
I'll tag one here and there. I gotta apologize ahead of time.
Sure, no, not a problem. So PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, and it's a hormonal disorder that affects women in their reproductive years, and it causes lots of symptoms such as lack of periods or abnormal periods, weight gain, weight loss resistance, acne, fatigue, excessive hair growth, male pattern baldness. There's so many, but those are the most common symptoms that it causes. And it's a common condition. I think it's 1 in 10 women have it.
Yeah. So, last time when we were talking about this, one of the things that does affect women is infertility. And so, Marty, I'll kind of let you and Dr. Lisa kind of talk a little bit about just the mental health
Yes.
kind of challenges that women have, with PCOS, one of those issues. And Dijha and I talked about it, that there is a spectrum with PCOS. So for me, I had a diagnosis, but I was able to conceive without any help. And Dijha, she had help. But like she said, she went and it was, she pretty much got pregnant. She had a treatment and got pregnant. But we know that there are women that do suffer in silence due to the infertility battles. And so talk a little bit about that, the mental challenges that they have.
Sure. I'll start, and then Lisa, I'll pass it over to you. In working with Dr. Gwen Allen, who is an OBGYN in Gardena, California, there were so many that we definitely discussed it with, but some of the patients that I've had, there's a sense of blame that women take on, that they're not woman enough. So you deal with all of that. So there's all this pressure, which can definitely hinder, if not prolong, even the inception period of getting pregnant with that. When we know that research shows that it can be a combination of things. A lot of times women are quick to blame themselves. And then we have to also look at the male side of things as well. There could be a combination of these things. It does a lot of emotional, impairs the emotional functions of the family system between husband and wife. I'm one who definitely believes in integrative approach, that you definitely need the family together needs to see a therapist. Why? So we can openly discuss these things, because too often there's too many messages, negative messages that women are carrying, and that they are carrying all by themselves and not knowing how to share that with the husband. So we need to have these type of conversations as well as we definitely go through this, but definitely look at also discover a plan. Because if we're now talking about going with some inceptions and I forgot the terminology now, where women are going to get pregnant in that, help me out, I'm drawing a blank.
Fertility treatments.
Thank you. With the fertility treatment and all that, it takes time, because Dijha, you were very lucky in that yours happened the first time, but this could be a process that most women have to go through, and it could take 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And then we're talking about finances, because it's very expensive. So there's a whole plethora of things that does happen that we definitely need to start having these open conversations and dialogues about. Dr. Lisa, would you like to continue from there?
Yeah, I think, you have to look at, there's different degrees of PCOS, and whether it's infertility or, body dysphoric type of disorders to go with it. You have to come at it with a holistic treatment, and not just for that individual. It might be for the whole entire family, especially a spouse. So in taking a holistic approach, and when we're talking about mental health, I think that you have to look at different types of therapy. And Marty, you hopefully agree with this.
Right.
But, looking at, the strengths and exception finding questions, and reworking the situation. And what does that look like?
Yeah, I love that. Dijha and I talked about that, Dr. Lisa, last time. I think it's so important that we're having these conversations, and that we're talking about having this holistic approach, right? Because I was pretty young. I was younger when I got the diagnosis, and it was like, you probably won't have children, or you have a really, really hard time. And I took that. I was a young woman. I was like, listen, good. You know what I mean? Like, but there were, I'm like, hey,
fine with me.
Free for all. You know what I mean? So BC,
right.
Before Christ, like
right.
So, but you don't understand that, right? But I didn't understand why I was growing hair like on my chin and different things. I didn't realize why, like Dijha and I were really going to talk about that, all of us, about the eating. And about just being hungry all the time, and just different hormonal things that were happening. Sometimes I never even pieced it together. And so not having that. And so that's why it's important that we take accountability for our own health. But I'm still young. I was like 17, 18, you know, and you just kind of go on. When I met my husband, I remember one of the first things I told him was, I don't want to have any children. Why? Because they had told me that I couldn't. So why would I even want to have any? So I was like, I don't want any kids. He was like, well, I have a son. And I was like, oh, well, that's perfect. Hey, listen, there's no expectation. So, you know, and it was fine. But I should have never had to go in like that with, I don't want kids because they told me I couldn't have kids. And I think it's important to have that help to say, okay, maybe you do this as part of your diet. Maybe you do that as part of your diet. So I love, Dr. Lisa, how you talk about a holistic
But one of the things we talked about during our last show was talking about shaking our family trees and having some conversation. Lisa and I have been doing that a whole lot here lately. We've been shaking our family tree, and we did an episode on our 12 Days of Christmas where I brought all our siblings on. We had a great time. It was absolutely fabulous because we all had some different upbringings, you know. I'll say it this way: Papa was a Rolling Stone, so we got lots of siblings, huh, Lisa?
So how many siblings do you have?
9.
Even think about it.
And if that's a question mark.
9. ...
Right.
Numbers. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. But in that, we had to start shaking our family tree because we want to make sure, what can we do to be proactive about not only the mental health, but the physical health of our children now, as we're seeing some patterns that we're going, wait a minute. Now let's talk about, does this run on which side of the family, and as you guys discovered as cousins, you guys had it, and so shaking our family tree so that we can talk about that, so that both of you can have conversations about. Oh, thank you, Paula.
So that you guys can have fantastic show.
Paula was on there. But so that we can have conversations with our sons, so we can have conversations with our daughters, so they don't have to live through that trauma, as Lisa's one of her specialties in. What can we do to have a much positive impact on our families so they don't have to relive some of the trauma and some of the mental health depressions and anxieties that we went through, so that we're preparing a better life for our children?
That's so good. You know, I talked, Miracle's 13 now, and I don't know what it was. I don't even know how this conversation came up, but she knows why her name is what it is. We've explained it to her. And this particular time we were talking about it, I think we were just talking about how, like, so when my husband was overseas, he lived in Iraq and I lived here. And we lived apart for about 2.5 years.
Wow.
And so she was conceived in that time when he was coming home, you know. But but before she was conceived, I would send him like bibs and things in faith that we would have a baby. And the other week, it was in December, she asked me, she said, will I have that? You know, and it kind of caught me off guard a little bit because I was like, oh, I wasn't ready. And so I told her that I did not know, but since we do know, that's one of the things that we will talk about to her physicians and say that this is running our family. And so they know, and she knows what to look at and stuff like that. So it really is important as we talk about that, you know. I wanted to talk a little bit about Dijha, because I know you're a health coach and you and I talked about some things. One of the things they say is that PCOS makes women more insulin resistant. So, and I think, Dr. Lisa, you can talk about that too. Kind of give us what does that mean? What does that mean for someone?
Well, I can jump in here. So really quick, and then doctor can follow me. So the majority of women with PCOS are actually insulin resistant. I'm going to say something like 70%. And basically what that means is that insulin, basically it's a hormone in the body, and its job is to take sugar, glucose from the food that we eat that's in our bloodstream and put it into our cells. And our cells then use that for energy. But when you're resistant when the cells are resistant, it's not allowing all the sugar to get into the cells. And so then the sugar is floating around basically in the body, in the bloodstream, and finding places to go. And having that access sugar in the bloodstream can wreak havoc in the body. It goes into the belly. So there's belly fat, so that can cause weight gain and a whole host of other things, which maybe the doctor wants to kind of explain further.
Yeah, it does cause catastrophic issues, health issues. And it also, because you don't have that glucose, you don't have any energy. So you're tired. So then, you're gaining weight and you need to exercise, but you're fatigued all the time. So it's a real battle.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Lisa, let me ask you then, because you say you're so tired and you're fatigued and things like that. How can I tell? Is there a way to tell, like, oh, I really am insulin resistant, or are there levels to that? I just, and I'm telling y'all know, I am not shamed. I am shamed because it's not good. So I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I love sugar. Like I'm telling you, let me say, Dijha and I talked about this. I love sugar, but in 2021, sugar is no longer going to have me. But I eat a lot of sugar, right? So if I am insulin resistant, then that's wreaking even more havoc. So how do I know, and are there different levels to that?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Making sure like I can talk when the dog's not barking here. But yeah, so there's different glucose levels that you can get, certainly. And then we also look at what they call like the waist area, which is where the adipose tissue really it becomes a problem health wise. But I want to go back to something, if I can, when we were talking about looking at family history with this, because this could be also misdiagnosed, should I say, as well. To look at that with diabetes and things like that. But genograms are becoming more and more popular with technology and DNA and things like that. And with a genogram, you're able to get a good representation of the family tree and the relationships, and looking at hereditary patterns, psychological and physical relationships that happen, or looking at a display of the likelihood or probability of coming or having children with these kinds of physical issues and psychological issues.
I love
Dr.
genograms.
Lisa, what's a genogram? Either one of you guys can answer that, because now I'm like, what's a genogram? And
it's kind of like a map, a family tree.
That's exactly a family tree, and we all understand what a family tree is, because what I did, I think I told you, Lisa, I looked at our family tree of divorces and I genogrammed. I said, oh, we're doomed. We got to change that, because when I look at our extended family, there's been way too many divorces. So I'm like, how do we now safeguard our children to help make them divorce proof? So that means we have to do something along the line. We're tracking, Elise and I are tracking some lighter mental health disorders. Let's track depression. Who has depression that we notice in our families? Who has bipolar that we've noticed in our family? And even undiagnosed bipolar. Who maybe for women, who's all had hysterectomies and some of these other things that we need to track. And then those are things we can be proactive about early along the line, like with your daughter, Miracle. So this is our family history that we're seeing in the women. What can we do to be proactive? Do we need to change our diet? Do we need to change are there certain medicines that are triggering this? All those things. So doing a genogram / family tree. We always say we are family. We do it at the family reunions, have all those T-shirts with trees on them. Now let's start tracking, put some stuff on them trees.
I think that's so good. When I think about, when I think about our family, and there's so much, right? Like it's so funny when I think about our family, Dijha and I. So on my mother's side, and then on her mother's side, when you look at certain things in the family, and I will say this. I'm trying to, when I look at certain things, I think that's what makes me have certain decisions. right? And not saying because we have a loving family, but even when you look at some of the stuff, right? When you look at diabetes, when you
Yes.
look at who has hypertension, when you look
Yes.
at some of this, it's funny because what I did find is that for the most part, our family is pretty healthy.
That's good.
And when I say healthy, I mean like when you look at the amount of people that died of cancer, like it's not really a big number. Now, when you look at people who drugs and all that, see, that's a whole different story. You know what I
Right,
mean? We
right,
all
right.
got them. We all got them. So the thing is that it's been, I'd say, more substance abuse that we can look at in our family. But there are areas where you're like, oh, I cannot pinpoint where we have a family where everybody's talking about health or eating right or doing these things. And so you may see like heart disease and diabetes, they're still living pretty long. And so I think that's important so that we can stop that with our children, right? So Dijha and I
Yes.
can figure out how can we bring in this healthy, holistic way of living so that my diet is right, but my mental is right as well. Like, all of these areas of our lives, when I
Yes.
thought about this show and rebranding this show, I wanted it to be mind, body, and soul. And I feel like
Yes.
if the three of them are working together, Doc always talked about it, the triad. If they're working together, I feel like then life is working. It's not that it's perfect, but I feel like it's operating at its optimal, capacity. So as we're looking at 2021, I really want to talk about this from Dijha, from a health standpoint of what you're doing in some practical ways. But Marty and Lisa, I want to talk about this from a mental health standpoint because we're at this point where people want to lose the Corona 15, we done Thanksgiving and Christmas. And sometimes the want to isn't enough.
Right.
How do I mentally get there? Like, how do I mentally start to start? If you know what I mean? Like, I want to lose weight, but it is hard. I am having trouble doing this. And so, Dijha, I want you to kind of talk about what is one way that you tell women to start, the people that you coach. And then Marty and Lisa, I want you to talk about mentally, how do we get there? Because I can pick recipes and do all this stuff, but I really need to get here mentally. So, Dijha, what is one way that you tell women to start or the people that you coach?
Well, honestly, the mental part, obviously, I'm not a mental health professional, but that is the biggest part, I think, of
Yes.
making any big change in your life or reaching any goal. And so one of the things I talk about is what is your why? Because in order for us to really make that lifestyle, because I'm not teaching women about go on a diet for a month or two. And no, I want women to understand that they need to change their lifestyle and that it's going to take time. So along with that patience that is going to be needed, it's a long road. And so in order to be able to stay on that road and be consistent and not give up, you need a strong why that's going to keep moving you forward because it's not easy. And when you have PCOS, it's even harder. And so just keeping that, whatever that strong why is, it might be because, I have children. Like for me, I have small children and I want to be able to be there for them, for as long as possible. That's a strong why for me. I don't want to feel controlled by this diagnosis. So that was another strong why. I wanted to overcome it. So whatever it is, you have to have that strong why that's going to keep you focused and not giving up when the road gets tough. And this is a long haul thing. So that's important. The other thing I would say that I start with my clients is just small changes. It's not about, we're talking about, again, lifestyle change. You can't transform your lifestyle in a week or even a month.
Right.
This is a lifelong thing. And so take your time. Work on one thing at a time, things that are manageable, because you don't want it, as they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just taking small steps towards that ultimate goal of being healthy, getting your body in balance hormonally, losing weight, feeling good. So those are the, a couple of things that I talk to my clients about right in the beginning.
I love that. And you know what? You're absolutely right. Any type of, whether it's your mental health, physical health, spiritual health, I say that it's a process. It is not a one and done. It's not a one-time thing. And we have to be, and I love the why. We got to be consistent. So I like to put it in, I love acronyms because I'm not that
Yes,
smart.
you
So I have
do.
to, I do, because that's how I remember. And I want to share with you what I call the ACT philosophy, ACT, ACT. A stands for accountability. You need someone to be accountable to. That's part of the why that she was definitely talking about. Why am I doing this? Why? Accountability. Are you being accountable to someone that you trust in that? So accountability. C is consistency. You need the consistency with that as well, so that I'm doing it. Listen, you may not can be to exercise every day. That's a lofty goal, but maybe you can do every other day. Maybe you can do every 3 days. So that's consistency. Be consistent in that. And then finally, the T is transparency. You got to be transparent. You got to admit to yourself when you're doing it right, when you failed, or maybe not met that goal, but how can you meet it the next time? So ACT is what I want to encourage you to do, because we have to act and act it out until we believe it. And then once we start to believe it, we believe it enough till we start to live it. And that's a 3-part process as well. So act, and that's going to help carry you through. Start off small. Don't make the goal so lofty till you make one mistake, you're all devastated. That's why I don't necessarily love New Year's resolutions, because by January 5th, we're tired of the resolution, because the novelty of the new year has worn off already. So, but accountability, consistency, and transparency, that's what's going to help push you through, whether it's a weight loss or bodybuilding or what have you, whether it's going to be your mental health, physical health, or spiritual health. That's what's going to help keep you through this process.
I love
Love
that.
that.
I love the one step at a time. Dr. Lisa, what
Yes.
do you have for us?
Yeah, so this is a struggle for me as well.
We all struggle with it.
No, no. But, I think, you both said something to me that I feel that really makes it lifelong transition, and that's consistency. And, in my younger years, if I gained some weight, I would go work out like crazy, practically starve myself. And now I don't do that. I realize I like food, and that's okay.
It
That's
is.
okay. But I found foods that are better for my body. So, and better for my health. And
Mm.
exercise, there's certain exercise that I love. I love hiking. I love walking. And a walk a day. My other brother, Dan, was here for the holidays. And I mean, every day we found a new location to go walk, whether it was the beach, Walston, whether it was a park. And that was just a great way to,
Right.
for my well-being, So I think you got to find out what works for you. Be consistent in small steps, as you were
That's
saying.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
You,
that.
my husband says this thing. He says, you have to do the need to until the want to comes. So, like, you just keep doing the need to do thing, and then eventually the want to comes. But I do know that, this is a struggle. And for me, most of my life, I've been pretty small. Even now, people see, I'm like, listen. I know how to hide it very well. And where it shows up, it's not always in places that people can see it, but I see it. So I have been small all my life for the most part. And when I started gaining weight and trying to lose weight, I realized the struggle that people had, right? Because it's so easy to just be like, just do right. One of the things I love this, King Joseph said, yes, it's much manageable if a person takes it one day at a time. And then he talks about today, I decided to have a coconut fruit smoothie before my fish and rice dinner, which is amazing, King Joseph, because your girl over here eating red velvet cake before her fish and rice dinner. So listen, I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. But, I think having these real conversations helps, right?
Yes.
Like you're having accountability. Like we're going to keep you accountable. You need to do this.
Yes.
This is not right. But understanding that losing weight is hard, especially when it comes to sugar. It really is an addiction. Dijha, how do you try to curve that? This is what I want to say. I don't care. Don't tell me a fruit helps, because it doesn't. I know that fruit does not taste like cake. I don't care what nobody. Fruit does not taste like. And yes, I love fruit and I love smoothies, so I don't have an aversion to fruit and vegetables. But I know it does not taste like cake. And then
it doesn't, but it can be a nice substitute.
Y'all say it, but it's not. It's not a substitute until it's a substitute in my mind. But it's
right.
So we have to say that. We cannot say
You're
it's
right.
a substitute for your food. It is a substitute for your mind.
Yes.
Because when I eat that, if I'm not in the right mindset, I'm like, child, give me an Oreo. Give me an Oreo.
Maybe dip it in a little chocolate for you.
Right. Well, I know I'm making light of it, but really, like, how do you curb those sugar addictions? And for me, you know, I told Dijha, I'm always hungry. Like I just like I can eat literally like a bowl of Brussels sprouts and fish, and I'm still hungry. Can you ship some? No, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
I'm with you, Raheem.
So Raheem is Dijha's husband.
This is what I have to deal with. It's very difficult in this house.
Right. So what are some ways that we can help curb that sugar addiction? And I think I'm speaking about all my stuff because sometimes people don't want to say it. And so if you don't want to say it, I'm saying it for you. That grapes don't taste like they do. They don't. But how do you curb that?
No, this is real, Portia. And I feel like there are so many people that feel the same way that you feel. And I was one of those people. And this is, I'm telling you, I am a reformed sugar addict. Like if I can get off sugar, anyone can do it, because I basically my whole life was a sugar addict. And I'm it's almost miraculous to me where I am compared to where I was before. But there really are some ways. And I totally get what you're saying about the fruit it's not supposed to taste like the cake portion. It's just supposed to help you as you are transitioning away. You know what I mean? So of course the grapes don't taste like red velvet, but when you're really working towards, you know, getting over the sugar, it's just a way to kind of satisfy in a little small way that sweet tooth that you have. No, it's not going to do it like the cake, but it's something, just a little hit for your brain. But in addition to that, in addition to the fruit, there are certain other things you can do. Increasing your fat and your protein, like eating real food. And so when you increase the healthy fats, for many years, for probably all of us, we heard about that, you know, there was the low fat craze, right? Like growing up, that was what it was for me. But that has all been debunked. And now we know that healthy fats are good. We need them in our diet, and they're satiating, they're satisfying, and they taste so delicious. So when you are cooking, like cook with some good healthy fats, like some olive oil, avocado oil, even some butter, like those things help, you know, they're just tasty. And along with that, making sure you're getting enough protein, because that is going to help you with the hunger. Again, in addition to the sugar, Portia, I dealt with like intense cravings for just food. And that's another symptom of the PCOS. So I have been there. I get all of that. But when I made those changes, when I started increasing the healthy fats, making sure I'm getting enough protein, I started to notice the difference, and it didn't happen right away, believe me. And there's one other thing too. Now, I mean, this is debatable because some people will say, just go, you know, cold turkey. That could work. You can do cold turkey, but what I did, that's not what I did. What I did was I did find some healthy substitutes. So now what I do is I bake with certain things that aren't going to increase my insulin, aren't going to drive my blood sugar up. So I enjoy what I'm eating. So I'll use, like, I make mug cakes, and I'll use almond flour, some butter, some oil, some avocado oil, put some cocoa in it. And you make a cake, and I'll get some like coconut whipped cream. You put it in the microwave, mix it together, put it in the microwave for 90 seconds, and you have a little nice portion size cake. And it's delicious, okay? And it does, I'm sorry, but to me, it does rival the red velvet. It tastes just so there are ways.
But now, you're right. You are right.
There are ways. Now, I don't eat that every day, because if you're doing that, I forgot to mention, I use stevia or monk fruit. And those are sweeteners that are healthier and they don't drive up the blood sugar and the insulin. So there are ways to still enjoy. I can honestly tell you, I enjoy what I eat. And there's another thing. There are supplements that are proven to help curb sugar craving.
Yes.
Like I have a list. I don't necessarily need to go through the whole list now,
but you can give it to me. But I do want you to give us some. Give us some so that people can have something to take away with them.
Yeah.
If you have to look at it real quick, we can go to Marty or Lisa, but I want you to give it on the show because it will help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I have them whenever you want me to. I do have a few right here.
Okay, yes.
And I do take these supplements as well. I do this. So magnesium. So magnesium deficiency can cause sugar cravings.
Yes.
Right? Zinc, right? That can help. There's another supplement called L-glutamine, chromium, vitamin B, resveratrol, fish oil, all of these things, lipoic acid. All these supplements are proven to help with sugar cravings because they help balance the blood sugar, and they also help in effect with reducing appetite. And I take many of these supplements. I will say with supplementation, you want to get the diet first. Like supplement is a supplement to a healthy diet, right? So you can't take the supplements and then be eating whatever you want. It's going to cancel it out. But focus on the healthy foods first and then add the supplements. And they have helped me tremendously.
But I agree with you, Dijha, on that. And Lisa can definitely come behind us, because one of the things that we've been talking about since we started this was making sure, Doc would say this all the time, making sure that we're taking our zinc, making sure that we're taking our omegas, making sure that we're taking our vitamins C and D and all that. And I have to say, since I've been doing that, I really have cut my sugar intake in half. I don't even desire, because I love a good cake and a good cup of coffee. Listen, I don't care what kind of cake it is. Give me I will eat that for breakfast. But but what I'm finding is, as I've been on my regimen, taking a zinc shot, taking ginger shots and all that, my desire for sweets have definitely curved. And so that lets me know that as you become more healthy, physically, mentally, your desire for those things are not as strong. They're in moderation now, that you can have that slice of cake once a week and not every day. That you will want a piece of fruit. It is a mindset, because we want that adrenaline rush, that sugar high that we get, because it makes us feel good. And soon as we do those things, and in moderation again, we start slowly changing our diet, start slowly changing how we exercise. I was a Coca-Cola. I could drink 4 to 6 Coca-Colas every day. Do not tell anyone. I'm so ashamed. But I had to wean yourself off of that and drink more water and all that. Now I don't even crave it nearly as much, but because I've learned how to change my palate, I also will in my mind, I want to be healthier. I want to do something different, because I refuse to let this COVID take me out. And we've discovered that because of the comorbidities that so many of us in the African American and our Hispanic communities, that should drive you right there to want to do better. We've lost too many to this COVID-19 due to poor health. Some of these things could have been prevented. We can't blame everything on a pandemic. Some of these things, if we had put ourselves in position and take responsibility for our own physical, mental, and spiritual health, that is going to move us to where we need to be as well.
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Dr. Lisa, do you have something to add?
I mean, I was going to say, pound cake with coffee in the morning.
Come on. Yes.
But don't sleep on those herbals.
Yes.
And supplements. Fish oil, I swear by it. Teenagers, adolescents, give them fish oil. Great for their mood. Melatonin to help you sleep.
Oh yes.
E for depression. Omega 3 fat acids. There are so many good supplements, and I mean, you do have to watch that there's not, contraindicated with some of your if you're taking medication, so you want to tell your doctor. But I swear by the fish oil and teenagers and moods.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that go for preteens too? Like 13-year-old? Well, I guess she's a teenager at 13. Yes. Praise the Lord. Fish oil. I'm about to go buy
Nordica.
The whole case.
Get the Nordica brand. The Nordica brand.
Yes.
Fish
I
oil.
give my children fish oil, actually.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so Lisa and I have definitely been talking about those natural herbs because, as we know in our community, they overdiagnose us and then over medicate us as well. And there's so many natural herbs that we can do, vitamins and all these things that we can do that we may not need. And may not need medication. That's why I love that, Lisa, we have someone in our community who's an advocate of those herbs, of those vitamins, that we can try doing that first before going on to psychotropics. And then even with the psychotropics, we can take these things to better enhance them. We have to stop being afraid of psychotropic meds, but make sure we get the right doctor that understands our physiology so that we're now getting the right prescription, because we know there's certain medicines, just like in psychology, that just does not fit our cultural dynamics, and making sure we get the right ones with that as well. So that's why these type of conversations, thank you, Portia, thank you, Dijha, thank you, Lisa, for that we can have these conversations and bring a more holistic approach to our health and wellness.
Absolutely. Dr. Lisa, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, what Marty was saying, with the psychotropics, there's so many people that, their parents, kids, teenagers come in and, they really do need something. And I don't want to put them on that. And then it takes a while to try to find the right medication. But now we're so advanced that there are genetic testing. So the insurance company, you have to try 1 or 2 drugs in order for them to pay for it.
Right.
Which there's ways around it. But, if you do the DNA, it'll tell you what will work and what won't work. And like somebody will come in and they'll say, I've been on this, and they had for depression, and it doesn't work. And I'm looking at their genetic testing. I'm like, yep, pretty much. Yeah, it doesn't, you're not, you metabolize it too fast.
Yes.
So.
Dijha, I love how they talked about kind of the medicines. I think that when we're doing lifestyle changes, right, there's certain things that work for certain people. Like I did keto and I actually liked it. And I will say when I did keto, after probably the first 3 days, I had no cravings for sugar. I would do like the little keto snacks. I mean, and I could literally have one, like, and their Reese's Pieces is like this big, and I was fine. So I think even with lifestyle changes, some things are better for other people, you know, and even for PCOS, are there certain plans that are better for women that have that as well?
Yeah, well, there's no one size fits all because every woman is different. But the insulin resistance is a big piece. And because we know that most women have it, most women with PCOS have it, we need to eat in a way that's going to reduce the insulin resistance. And there are ways to eat by focusing on whole foods, right? Limiting or eliminating the processed food. Sugar. It's funny that we talk about sugar. It's an issue, but sugar is the number one food, thing that needs to be removed. It's the driver of insulin resistance, which drives all the PCOS symptoms. And so we really do have to get a hold of that. But again, I don't like to focus on what we need to remove, but what do we need to add? Because for me, I was eating a lot of just junky foods that weren't nourishing my body. And when I switched to a more whole foods approach, everything shifted for me. So, if you want to think about like a plate, right? Think about like a quarter of the plate being a protein, half of the plate being like your non-starchy vegetables, like your greens, your broccoli, Brussels sprouts, like you mentioned, Portia, all of those foods. So, fill up on those, and then making sure that you're adding the healthy fats. Like we talked about avocados, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil. So that's sort of like, not perfect, but a good idea of how to formulate your plate. And then the carbs, we have to manage the carbs. And you don't have to do keto. Keto does work for PCOS, but you don't have to do keto. You can just kind of follow what I was talking about, eating more healthy fats, cutting back on the sugar and the starchy carbs. And that helps as well. So, I mean, if you want to eat carbs, that's fine, but you just need to limit it. Like that should be like a small portion of the plate.
You
I
know,
would
it's
say.
so funny. I feel like for me, this is for me. So Paula, you could put that up. Paula is like, I'm watching y'all while baking an apple pie. I pulled out sugar, cinnamon sugar, and brown sugar, but now I'm putting some of the ingredients back and sticking to the nutmeg and cinnamon. I talk about my struggle with sugar, but I actually do like to be active. I love high intensity workouts. I love cycling. I just got into cycling from Jackie, who is Doc's
It's
wife.
amazing.
And so I do that, and I could literally, I could cycle like 20 miles, and so, but this is what I want to say about the mental thing. This is how come I know it's mental for me, is because in September, my husband bought me a brand new SUV. He brought me a Jaguar. It's one I wanted it. He bought it for me, right? Surprised again. He surprised me again.
I tell you, Pastor's putting the bar too high.
Right. But then the 1st of October, said Jaguar went through the garage into my powder room and almost into the dining room. So, long story, don't ask. So all that happened, and he was like so kind about it. Like he had came downstairs and he was kind about it. For me, I struggled because my son uses that bathroom, and all I could think about was losing him. And for a week, I knew the house was going to get fixed. I knew the car was going to get fixed, but I could not believe that. I am very careful about when it comes, I don't play. And I could not get over that I was not perfect in that situation, because I struggle a lot with perfection and stuff like that. And I could not get over it. I couldn't shake it. I would see him and just hug him and be like, I am so sorry. And nothing happened. He wasn't in there. By the grace of God, he wasn't in there. And it just blew my whole thing. I stopped exercising. I stopped watching what I was eating. I stopped everything. And that was like in October. And I had literally lost like 15 pounds. Listen, the side profile, I was out here. We went to Tulum. I was so fine in my bathing suit. But that's because we went October 12th. I had already done the work, right? But what I will say is my body had held on to that. So it wasn't until I'd say about a couple weeks ago that I realized, you're in the danger zone. But for me, it's mental, right?
Yes.
That happened and it completely threw my life off. And through my eating and all of that stuff. So I think before we go, I know we have a minute. I know I harp on this because what I understand is that before we make a decision to actually produce an action, it has happened up here already. Before we do anything, it has happened already up here. And so help us as we're going into the new year, not just with dieting, but whatever it is that the want to, but we can't figure out how to. What are some of those? Just give us one last words mentally. All three of you guys kind of teach, mental health and just mindset. So what is something that, we can take away as we're going into 2021 and we want this to be the best year yet? And I believe that it will be. And some of those things that we want to do that we couldn't do before, what can we do mentally to make sure that we're moving one step at a time?
Yes. Well, go ahead. Who wants to start? Well, since
I'll
I'm
go.
talking, go ahead, Lisa.
I'm going to tag on to what you said earlier in the show,
Yes.
Marty, about doing, your own mission statement or family mission statement. I started doing this a couple years ago, and looking at the year and my mission statement for my family. And then when I need to make a decision, I go back to that mission statement to say, would that help my mission, or would that bring me back on my mission? And so like my mission that I did on New Year's this year was all about getting more healthy and working out more. And so everything that I do, like when I go to the grocery store, I'm going to park way out in the parking lot. Just little things like that. So I would say do it for you and your family.
Love it.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dijha, you want to go next?
Sure. I love that. And along with that, another thing that I love is vision boards. And so that's another thing I do with my clients. I have one. And just create a vision board and keep that up with all the things that you're working to accomplish in the year, or lifetime goals. I think that's a wonderful thing. And the other thing is to get rid of the all or nothing mindset, the black and white mindset. It's not black or white. It's not all or nothing. And celebrate the wins, no matter how small, no matter how big. Celebrate the wins. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency and not giving up. And as long as you're committed to not giving up, no matter what happens, you will be fine. And it's okay. Mistakes are going to happen. That is just part of the process and the journey.
I love that. Marty?
Yes, I agree with both of those statements. I think doing the little things that you can do daily, like Lisa said, to park out farther, that gives you some extra steps. I love vision boards, doing a vision board for yourself, but give yourself permission to live. Give yourself permission to say, I am enough. Those affirmation statements are so important. Yes, you're allowed to make a mistake. Are you disappointed with something? Sure. You don't know where your mindset was at, but be grateful for the wins. With you, Portia, I understand, but we're grateful that your son wasn't in that bathroom. You know that you love your children and that nothing you wouldn't do for your family, but we're grateful that all those things are material things. And the thing that could not be replaced was his life. And so that he is still alive and that your family is still alive. And you know what? We learn from there, and shaking past that, like 2020 has left us, we now have to leave those same emotions in the past and move forward with new hope, new purpose, and prosperity. Yes.
You better come on. I love it. You guys, this has been absolutely incredible. The community, you guys have been incredible. You've had so many comments. I know we couldn't get to them all. Just trying to get to all of the content. We appreciate you guys for showing up. And just continuing to show up. I'm super excited because I do want to announce that on next week's show, we're going to have Marty, John Henry Scott III. That's my man. We're going to have him on there, and we're going to have Paula on. Paula Williams. I got her to come on. Listen.
What? Come on,
yes,
Paula.
I got Paula to come on. And the reason why I wanted Paula to come on is because what many of you all don't know is that Paula does so much in her communities, in her church. She gives so many volunteer hours. And so the way she shows up for Think About It, our shows, she shows up for people like that daily. She is always doing something for someone else. So next week's show is going to be about making an impact where you are. And so I want you guys to invite as many people as you can. Mark your calendars. I'm actually going to put out the link and stuff so you guys have it, so you can share it, because I think it's going to be powerful about how can we make an impact right where we are. Don't be scared, girl. You got this. You got this.
Yes.
And she has the most beautiful voice. If you've ever talked to her on the phone, it's so kind and soothing. So I'm excited about her being on. I want you guys to be on. We are really, really, really going to talk about how can we make an impact where we are. You don't have to have this big business. You don't have to have these big titles. You don't have to have these big ministries and do all these things. You can literally make an impact, and we're going to talk about some of those ways that you can. Kelvin, that is my kid's father. This is good, Portia. I enjoy this. I agree with all that was said. It is the little things that we have to be consistent at doing. Kelvin runs. He retired from the military, and I think he still runs 12 miles a day.
Bless him.
So he's very, very healthy. But Marty, Dr. Lisa, and Dijha, thank you all so very much for joining us. I appreciate it. Before we go, I want to make sure that you guys have our text number so that you can text us so that you stay informed on when a show is going live. We have a podcast or any of the things that we're doing. Text 404-737-0867. Listen, you don't even have to text a word. Just text it. Say, hello, Portia, it's me. What up, girl? Hello, darling, to 404-737-0867. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, we end every single show with this declaration. Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today, I will show up.